No, whatever you said ahead.
Okay, raise your hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Rob Ayres,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of Park District Commissioner
of Park District Commissioner
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Next is Ayres. Hurtado. Here. Slosky. At this time, we welcome public comments. Thank you everyone for coming. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment? Just moving the microphone back. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment?
Hi guys, I'm Nikki. I live in Walker's Grove here in Plainfield. I just want to mention the other day, it's not a big deal, but I was at the corner of Plainfield Baker Hill Road and I believe 111th Street. And I don't think this truck driver was going to get on the limit or anything, but they had the light going east on 111th. And I think they just worried to get some gravel or something. They came zipping through in kind of a bigger truck, but the truck had no tarp on it. That one makes me crazy, because as you know, that debris comes hopping out of the backs of those trucks, and it's kind of dings up cars, or it's just really irritating. Maybe just remind guys that if, they could, it's a real pain to do that, but if they could roll that tarp over to keep whatever they're carrying in tow, that would be great. Thank you.
Hello. Our name is on the agenda, and it's under public comments. Is that public comments? That's Nora. Thank you. We have quite an extensive report, and pretty much what happened. And 5 minutes really doesn't allow us a lot of time to go through it all. So we tried to give you guys a copy of what has transpired. However, Leslie and Laura, I'll let you introduce. Pardon? I'll let you introduce.
Well, basically, I had met Leslie here at the center and suggested that we were looking to do a vendor event. Not at the time when we first met her, but I was looking to do a vendor event. I was outside the thing. Leslie said she thought it was a great idea. Let's do this. This was last October. So I contacted her twice after that. And she said, well, let's do it next year. So in October of this year, I contacted her again. She said, yes, let's do this. It'd be a great idea. She was trying to get more people to come down here and know. We started talking about dates. We suggested that. Or I said, well, the chamber's doing a Christmas event on the 29th. Maybe we should do it on that day. There might be some people here walking around. There will be more traffic. She thought that was a great idea. She agreed to go forward with this. Basically, we even made flyers that we gave her. She passed out to the daycare center. Was completely on board, came here and measured the facility to see how many tables we could fit in here. And then I feel like everyone's listening, I don't know, but kind of completely aware of what's going on. You want to take it over from the total?
So, everything was running smoothly until about October 30th. At about 2:15 p.m. on Facebook, one of our vendors, Julie Hayes, and I put a copy in your packet, pretty much jumped online and said, hey, is this event really going to happen? I got a letter from the Park District that this event is going to be canceled. So I told you, as far as we know, everything is running smoothly. And why would the Park District contact you, a vendor, about canceling our event? So immediately, Laura started trying to contact Leslie. Didn't hear back from Leslie until the next day. She goes, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was talking to my boss and Misty, my and she said that the park district is actually planning their own Christmas event.
And it would be a conflict of interest, and she was very sorry, she was very upset that nobody told her about it, she went on and on. And I was like, so they're having an event where, at the other building, on the same day? She goes, well, I forget the date, but I know it's that week, and I'm very sorry, I feel so bad. So I hung up, I called Misty, Misty got on the phone, Misty said she didn't know anything about it, she had met with Leslie on Monday, and Leslie mentioned the vendor fair to her, and that we didn't have a contract, so, you know, it wasn't that serious, and she could easily cancel it. I said, so she wasn't, Leslie Anderson was not serious about this event, yet she took flyers, passed them out to all the daycare parents. She allowed me, after she passed out the flyers, to come and measure. The children were all here at the daycare. That's not serious? That's a little serious, I think. So then basically Misty said there was absolutely no Christmas event coming. And that the reason that Misty said that she didn't want to do it because she felt the space wasn't big enough and didn't know anything about anything else. So we met here on Monday, and
Well, even prior to that, when Misty was pretty much telling Laura that, you know, the event would have to be canceled, Laura then said, you know, I would like to speak to the board about this, when it was the board meeting. And then Misty said, well, you don't need, no, you don't need to speak to the board about it. She said, you know what, and she's like, no, I need to call my vendors, cancel the event, and I would like to speak to the board. She says, no, don't call the vendors, don't speak to the board, I'm sure we could work this out. Why don't we all sit down and work out, you know, the details of what happened, you know, to find out what's going on, I'm sure we can work it out. So that's when we went ahead and had a meeting.
Okay, so most of what you're saying is in the packet.
Correct.
As we stand today, what would you do?
Today, we were looking for the board to make a special exception and allow the verbal agreement to go ahead and happen. We have about 30 vendors. I told them what's going on. I've asked them if they want to go ahead and cancel out and try at this late date to find another event. You know, please do so. We only lost 2 vendors. We have 28 vendors still wanting this event because November 29th is Small Business Saturday. We're all small businesses. This is our busy season. They've already missed the boat on many different vendor opportunities.
on top of it, in Illinois, a handshake deal is still a legitimate form of doing business. It's still a transaction. We have sufficient proof that her intention was to go forward with this by passing out the flyers, and she's bound by that.
Answering
legally.
calls on our behalf and our
Yes.
event, and answering emails on our event.
And allowing us to come and measure. I mean, there was every indication that this wasn't big as well to a lot of people. And, you know, that's where we stand on it.
Waiting for guidance from the commission on this.
Well, I mean, I haven't, nobody's approached me about it yet, but from what just I've heard today, it sounds like they want to use the spaces as for a private event, for a profit event, which generally we don't allow here at the Professional Center.
And that's at this point right now, and when that was realized, that was not with the confusion slide, it was not under the chamber's heading, which was a confusion point. No, we talked about that. Then we canceled the event at that point, because in line with our policies, do not use the space for profit event, and we also need special permission for that. So at this time right now, I'm upholding that portion of it, so any variance that we have.
So essentially, what they'd be asking for is us to, and again, in land use terms, a special use, to allow them to use the space in a manner that's not consistent with the way our policies are set up for use of the space.
I can give a comment on, in regards to it, just,
I mean, it's up to the board. I mean, you guys can take action tonight if you want. You can, it's your decision.
I was talking to Carlo, he said that the board could actually make the exception, correct?
That's my question.
very sorry for this inconvenience. Because I'm just one of all of us here, but considering the fact that this has gone on so long, it would seem appropriate to have a variance and just allow us to go through it this evening.
And again, that's clearly up to you guys. I mean, you know,
Certainly.
regardless of what the interpretation was of these women and of our staff, the bottom line is that the use that they want to use it for, we don't allow. So there's some confusion between the parties.
Okay, but you said that you can have a variance.
I mean,
Court,
you can. Do you run into a situation where you might be,
would we be legally,
I mean, there are ordinances,
culpable?
there are ordinances, I mean, we can look at a special use to avoid the application of them, but, you know, if we do it for them, we have to do it for everybody else that comes in the door. I mean,
No, it's simply because, you know, obviously, the employee did not really have the knowledge to make, or the power to make that decision, to say that to a handshake, that has to come down.
well, the handshake agreement, that's one thing, because, I mean, you
Or
know,
whatever, as however it's.
whether or not that happened or not, I don't know. I don't know for the fact to say whether or not it's a binding agreement between the parties, okay? But what is clear is that even if they, you know, again, regardless of what the confusion was, that's not a use of law. So, you know, regardless of how it would have come out, if they would have signed a contract, which everybody does, to use the space, okay? There's an application and there's certain parameters on it that say what you can use the space for. And one of them that we don't allow is for for-profit groups that charge admission that are essentially open to the general public. We allow-
Except in this case, flyers were put out by the.
I have no idea if that's the case or not. I mean, I know what was said tonight, sure.
He's shaking his head, he
You
knows.
know, there were some.
Okay.
Some of our vendors are parents,
Many of them
vendors.
got one of those calls. Also, Leslie is the building facilitator. We don't know her policies and procedures. I did ask her if she wanted to do an agreement, and she said, oh, no, I just want to keep it in here.
Well, from what I understand, the confusion was whether or not you guys represented the chamber.
Okay, again,
I think that's what.
we will
wait,
address that.
hold on. But I think that was the issue, why they thought that perhaps we didn't need an agreement.
Does she do a
because-
contract with the chamber?
No, what I'm
No,
saying
does
is
she
that
do
you
it,
could say,
does she do a contract when she signs, if she was gonna do an event with anyone, she has a contract, correct? Nonprofit or anyone, she has a contract. So even if I want, you know, who does she didn't do a contract. So whether, that's a moot point, because
well, it's not a moot point because a chamber event's different than a private
Right,
group.
right,
that's
and I
gonna
never
raise money.
represented that, so.
Those are two
They would
different
have to sign a contract as well,
Yes,
if they're
ma'am.
not a chamber.
I don't know.
They would have, so if any non-for-profit came in, so Leslie chose to tell me, she didn't want to get the main park district to know about it. I don't know why, you know, she did it that way.
I don't even know what the benefit of it is. She didn't ask for money, she just wanted
We asked
some
her,
recognition.
we had to pay.
So I don't understand why she didn't follow the proper channel. She's not a new employee.
Ultimately, the decision that the board should just decide on is whether to allow special usage,
Yeah.
regardless of the.
And we're not charging admission.
No, the
Well,
vendor.
but we are charging.
And that's the fees of, no, but it's fees for them,
But
for
that's-
advertising.
That's the same thing.
That's it.
You can't do it.
And
In
admission to the
general,
public.
if you would have approached us with that, if you would have said, yeah, we're gonna charge vendors to be here, yeah, it's open to the general public, we would have said no.
Okay, but she knew that. She knew. She
I don't know
even
what
had an email in the packet giving out prices.
I don't know what you know, what you didn't know, all I know is what you're telling us tonight. And what I'm telling you is that if you would have presented us with that same
Right.
situation, we would have said no. But again.
And that makes sense,
Hold on a second.
because of your policy.
Understood,
But-
but if the board would like to, essentially, again, it's, for lack of a better term, special use permit, to avoid the application of the policy and the ordinance, to allow this to happen,
And then at that point,
I think you can do that.
keep an actual contract.
Yes, that's no problem.
Billing fees.
My position, and it's unfortunate that there was a miscommunication and a breakdown in procedure. It sounds like, there was a lot of confusion, but I don't want us to go against our ordinances. So that's my position. I don't know how
I agree. I think the policy should stand once we get in place.
I agree with the policy as it stands.
I see there's a problem with clarity in regards to submitting policies to people coming up to the door and explaining them clearly in regards to the ordinance. I see failure of making that happen. And at this point, the decision has to be made across with the commissioners deciding these issues should be looked into, not to happen again.
We are handling that.
And make the chips fly in regards to the commissioner's majority rule.
If the board wants to direct the staff to issue a special, or, grant them a special use to avoid the application of the ordinance, and then we need a contract for this event, you can do that. That's possible. That's what you want to do. That's the desire of the
We'll
board.
take it forward in that way.
Well, is there consensus that that's what the board, that's what's,
Well, I just think this is a bad situation because it went out via district and however I would prefer the president on this regulation wants to go on. I'm just leaving the situation that I think terrible that for this, for this people. Right. Because this is, I mean, if I could, I would, if I had, if I could do something in this particular case, this is a unique situation. This is not, okay, when the doors are open, it's just that. However, I will refer to the president on this, what she wants to do.
Does everyone want to take a look, or do you just want to direct staff at this point? Right.
Enforce the policy, that's the agreement.
And then, like you said, internally, make sure there's not much miscommunication of this nature.
staff has direction?
Yes.
Item 6, the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Any more public comment? Is there more public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know anybody else wants to speak up. Any more public comment?
So Jamie Outwood, 7700 Meyerton Drive, Plainfield. I just want to congratulate Mr. Ayres, my friend, for being sworn in this evening. This is a big night. A lot of people are responsible for him sitting here. First off, Representative Cross, Representative Manley, Senator Tarrant, who I just saw outside, said everything went without a hitch. But I also think we should probably remember who else is responsible for this. Garrett Peck, Peter Hurtado, Peter Steines, thank you for, there's a lot of young people here tonight. And a lot of people who maybe don't believe in government. You're skeptical if it can work. Well, it does work. And it worked right here in Plainfield. Because when the citizenry of Plainfield was upset, they went to their leaders in Springfield and asked for action. And that's what we got. House Bill 5593 that sat in Mr. Ayres this evening was enacted because of, in regards to things like transparency, in regards to things like patronage, hiring, in regards to things like crazy legal fees, in regards to total lack of decency to the public. That is why we have this evening. So I'll leave you with this. This is from, yesterday was Veterans Day. So you think of a great general, George S. Patton. He used to say, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. So let's think about this. Mr. Steines, Mr. Hurtado's not here, and Garrett is gone. They have led. We saw how that worked. Bad. We're talking Chicago Bear defense bad. We're talking Kevin Costner Waterworld bad. Ishtar bad. bad. How about follow? We figured out you don't play well with others, you don't follow well, you don't play the sandbox well with others. So that one is a check. Now get out of the way. That's a good one. And because Mr. Ayres is here, and hopefully one other person very soon, you will become even more irrelevant than you have been the last year and a half. Thank you very much.
Anybody else like to make a comment? No one else coming forward, so we have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Questions?
Ayres?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
Nude?
Yes.
Solosky? Stein? Motion carries.
Item 7, staff reports.
There's a couple things I'd like just to cover, just to keep the board apprised of what's going on, and then also seek some direction as well. Just so everyone is aware, we have sent out the comprehensive master plan RFPs to various vendors that have requested them, and they will be being posted to our website as well. We did put a deadline date of 12/1 for the RFPs to come back, so we are hoping to present a consultant for that project for approval at the December board meeting. Additionally, we had moved forward with, at the request of Commissioner Ludeman, putting together a memorial bench and tree program. We have put this in place. We have brought it to the foundation. The foundation will run it under its jurisdiction, and then it will be maintained through the park district. It will handle the installation and the selection, etc. But we will be advertising that more in our next catalog, not the current one that will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And finally, there was a suggestion at last month's board meeting to move the board meetings back to the Recreation Administration Building. And as we look at that, would that be something the board would entertain to do so starting in January? That's what our staff's thought process.
Well, if we have this kind of crowd, I don't think we need.
Right, and that's like, last 2 months have been a little lower. This month with the swearing of Commissioner Ayres, we figured the crowd would be a little bit bigger, and if we anticipate bigger meetings, we could always relocate to here, but as a norm, be at that facility.
I do like that facility for acoustics, but it is a lot smaller.
Right.
So my feeling is we wait until we see consistently lower attendance.
What's the senior citizen, Community Center? What's that look like?
I'm not sure what programming even looks like at this time.
I'm just saying for just a layout and better view.
That's always a possibility. We can check into that and sort of wrap it
That's
up.
an option.
Because there's a lot more room, even bigger than here. Any views?
I think until we get touring again, we should stay.
With the senior center, if we are able to work that out, would that be an avenue you guys would be willing to consider?
parking too.
That would-
And that would probably be more hospitable for a meeting.
I think you're correct, the acoustics would be better in that facility.
The other thing we're looking at too is the changing over of this room as well for the preschool program. It's a lot of back and forth at this point. So we're just looking at that as a factor. And then the final portion, which would be the number 1 section under my report, is the athletic and field use and allocation policy. Currently, Manager Duffy and I have been looking through it. I have met with all 3 of the groups that we're looking at sales affiliations moving forward. Some of that, with those being PJC, PSA, and PAC. One of the things as we move forward, though, we're trying to get some board direction on is how we want to go about handling our user fees or recoup in the future. Currently, we do a post recoup of the fees, meaning we give a set fee, our billing amount off of the current fee that we have established from the previous costs. If the numbers go down in the program, we don't recoup truly the fees that were put in. And we've seen a couple of the programs take significant drops in the last couple of years where we've not been able to recoup the amounts. It's not been an ebb and flow as originally intended, where it would start off, maybe it might have a low season, a high season. We've seen drops from it. I'll use PJC as an example. It's gone from 900 about 4 years ago, and it plateaued at 7 something for a while. This last year was at 458. So you've seen the continuous downward slide, and as the fees have been still at a certain plateau, we haven't been able to recoup them. So the thought process would be, is instead of going that route, just set a straight bill, basically a reimbursement at the end of the season, so we're getting back the fees that are directly associated with that season. And moving with that, we can actually set rough budgeted items. We know how much things are going to cost us for the most part. And right now, we're working on benchmarking with the Parks Department, so we have an idea of how much it takes to strike a field, prep a field, etc. So that's one of the things we're looking on it. The other thing is how we want to handle lighting fees. Right now, we set a straight basage fee, but in the fall, especially with PAC, they have lights on most nights for practice as well as games. So do we want to set the per game fee? We're not actually charging a per game route at that point. We are actually charging more, or the fees are on, or the lights are on more for practices, and there's minimum games. So maybe a straight reimbursement during fall season as opposed to a per game cost per game. And then additionally, how we want to move forward with implementing a capital fee, which is formerly known as the impact fee, to cover costs that are directly resulting in the capital reimbursement or capital projects directly resulting from the usage of those organizations. One of the thoughts as we move forward in talking about it was, do all three, or should they be the same? You look at PAC, which has more fencing, dugouts, etc., whereas soccer and football are more turf-based and with nets, goals, etc. So looking at that kind of judgment. This is stuff that we'd like to talk about, which we can open up here, or we can, at the direction of President Ludeman, possibly set together a personnel and policy committee that could talk this through and try to set something that would bring the board approval in December.
But if anyone has any comments they'd like to make about the plan or volunteer to be on the board.
I might take personal.
You want to?
Sure.
And then we will be looking at
Okay.
You put me in.
you could be an alternate. If you want.
It's an alternate.
And just only because we can't put 3 at a time, unless we need to.
They'll be on it. Committee choices coming up. But we'll have you as an alternate for now.
And then we'll proceed forward, trying to work that policy out in December.
Director of Finance and Human Resources.
Enclosed in your board packets this evening was a copy of the district's June 30th, 2014 comprehensive annual financial report. Jamie Logie with Rob Ayres is here to discuss the report, and if you have any questions, she'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Does everyone have the large bound document? We'll cover that first. First of all, I thank, I'm sorry.
It will too. So
It will, okay.
Yes, it will, so
There we go.
put your stuff on it.
Thank you.
It's not like the,
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'd like to personally thank Maureen and Shelley. This is our first year auditing the district. First year audits are always difficult. We're learning the district and they're learning our style, but I think our feedback is that it was a very positive experience and hopefully the same from their end. So we certainly do appreciate coming in here for the first year and being able to present to you on time and actually slightly ahead of time the audited financial statements. So again, we'll start with the larger bound document. I'll cover a few key items, and then if there are specific questions